There's something that catches my attention. 27 people are arrested in an operation. This is something you hardly ever see anymore, basically in a Mexican operation involving 26 cartel members. There were two very curious situations in Mexico. One in which Mexico extradited 26 people. That's one case, right? They extradited 26 people and they were also caught in an operation. It's just that the number is so similar that, well, many of us are getting confused. One is the extradition operation of important figures to the United States, 26 members of different cartels. Because of an agreement he has with Trump and obviously, well, because of the pressure Trump is putting on Mexico. It seems to me that obviously that has something to do with it, but also 27 people from the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. This was pointed out by the United States Embassy itself and obviously, well, basically to congratulate Mexico, right? This is the official post from the United States Embassy in Mexico. It states, in a high-risk operation, Mexican state authorities arrested 27 members of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, a foreign terrorist organization in Aguascalientes. The authorities credited the International Narcotics and Law Enforcement and FBI operation for providing the skills needed to apprehend those criminals and their deadly weapons. There's also the English version from the United States Department of State plus images showing them. Well, what appear to be Marines from the states of Mexico. Marines from Mexico. I don't know if Lagora and some United States agencies participated, but it is an important operation. Two important things today. One is the extradition of these people to the United States, certain leaders from different cartels, and the other is the arrest of these 27 people. The operation has been described as a significant blow to the operational structure in the center of the country. The United States Embassy acknowledged that this action was possible thanks to the specialized training provided by the Office of Narcotics Affairs and Law Enforcement, and also participation in FBI training sessions. The authorities attributed the training to the arrest of these individuals. So I find what's happening to be a very interesting topic. No, it's not an isolated case. This new government has seen several cases, but this is among the most significant. This is one of the biggest, and what stands out most is that it is. At the same time that this transfer, let's say this extradition to the United States of several leaders is happening. Among them, we're talking about people close to him, well, Maestro Mayo himself, his relatives who would have been sent to
Mecho's brother too.
Mecho's brother. We're talking about really dangerous people or people close to extremely dangerous people, and they've been sent to the United States along with this arrest. It seems to me that something important is happening with that issue. I insist. Well, I wish it had been by his own decision. And even though I know they'll always say it that way in Mexico, not here, sometimes we suddenly decide whether to act on the issue. The reality is that this has been pressure from the United States, which has insisted that this problem be ended. And hopefully it continues and that it is implemented and that we can finally have a much calmer country. That's a different matter. But what does it have to do with all this movement that the United States Department is making in Latin America? Marco Rubio warned that the narco-terrorist regime of Nicolas Maduro must be confronted, he says, with something more than just rewards. I mean, because did everyone start? Well, yes, okay, it's the largest reward in history. They're offering more money than they did for Osama bin Laden. Actually, I think it's twice as much. Just imagine, they're offering a lot of money for this Maduro, but everyone said, okay, it's symbolic, but nothing is really going to happen. But now the United States Secretary of State is saying we have to go further. It's not just about the reward, we have to confront him with something more than just rewards. And that's a different phase.
Exactly. Marco Rubio was clear. Maduro's reward is $150 million. No, he didn't call him a dictator, just said we don't recognize his government's legitimacy. What he is the head of a logistics organization dedicated to drug trafficking, a cartel, the Cartel of the Suns, which is basically run by the army. And she emphasized that these illegal activities have military facilities to facilitate the movement of the merchandise, and that the regime of Venezuela has taken control of the national territory. And she stated that the narco-terrorist regime has taken over Venezuelan territory.
Look, just one thing, listen, a side note, but there's also a story that, well, I think we should talk about it too, right? 60 municipal police officers have fallen. And 4 members of the Chiapas cartel in Guatemala, well, Chiapas and Guatemala, according to what they report, right? It was the Chiapas Attorney General's office that announced the arrest of 59. I mean, it wasn't in Guatemala, but it's a cartel that's in both Chiapas and Guatemala because this happened in Chiapas. It was announced that today, 59 municipal police officers were arrested in Cintalapa, including the director of the police force, as well as 4 alleged members of the criminal group Chiapas-Guatemala cartel. I mean, another move. I mean, I have that they are, and this is right, speeding up significantly. They even show the image, I don't know, the one with the Jaguar. I think it's with all the former police officers who have been detained. Imagine what the people living there can expect. If all the police officers were deeply involved, now how many police forces like that in different towns, in different states of the country might be the same? Even the highest ranking ones were involved, so it's strange and something to be applauded that suddenly these kinds of issues come to light. Because if you're going to get involved, and you're a security member, you're a police officer, and you're going to get involved in those matters, there will be consequences. If they think there won't be, they'll just keep going, right? Are they going to do whatever they want? Both civilians and police need to understand that if you get involved in those things, there are consequences, right? If I don't insist, more people will feel encouraged to get into serious things, right? Well, that's a quick summary, just like that, of what's happening. We don't usually talk much about those topics because it's an international issue, but this has been so striking, so out of the ordinary that we definitely had to comment on it, right? Let's go, well, between this and what's happening with Maduro, right? I find it very interesting because it suggests that something else is coming. Let's see if anything will actually happen, since we're already discussing those topics. About rewards and cops and criminals, right? There's the topic of Caricer, the leader of the gangs in Haiti.
Remember, Haiti's capital is basically controlled. I think about 90-something% is controlled by gang groups. Right now, they're in a state of emergency for 3 months. Will things stay this way? Will there be another president change? This situation is out of control. And well, today, the United States Department of State has actually increased the reward for the gang leader this Tuesday. This is Jimmy Cherizar or Barbecue, a former police officer. Have they increased it?
Speaking of...
to $5 million for the reward to anyone who reveals his whereabouts and helps facilitate his arrest. The reward that was just $2 million a moment ago, well, now it's up to $5 million, and it will be made public afterwards. It will be released after Haiti declares a state of emergency. As I was telling you, it's for 3 months because the situation is complicated. Right now, they control 90% of the capital. The gangs. And now, for example, the other day I read that even for Haitians, even to bury their relatives, they have to pay the gang members.
Isn't that unbelievable? There he is, the gang leader, who many already view as the leader of the gangs. We need to remember it's now a syndicate, almost like a whole organization. He brought them together, that's right, exactly. He's the one who unites them. And well, he wanted to get into politics, but then suddenly he went over to the side of the gangs. The gangs emerged because of Haitian politicians. Each had their own gang to pressure one another. Let's not forget that. Right? I send my gang to you and you send yours to me, and that's how it goes, right? So exactly, until one day the gang said, well, why do we listen to these guys? If we have the power of the weapons, then we control things. And they started to... It turned into chaos. So now this individual is being sought after because he's been an important leader in those groups.
Exactly. This person last Thursday said that his only mission is to overthrow the Transitional Presidential Council. That's the point. It's like when they made this change, they didn't know how to handle him because they could have involved him in some way because he has a lot of power, unfortunately.
No, they didn't know how to handle him. And he's a character, yes, ambitious, but I've seen several interviews with him, and it seems like you can talk to him a bit to reach an agreement. Anyway, the point is this person switched sides. Things have been said about him, possibly just legends, but some even mention cannibalism.
He discusses very heavy topics. Let's leave it at that.
This guy seems really out of it. Did he change over time? Is it madness or something else? Either way, that's where things are going. Let's address other important matters now.